My friend Paul Knitter, a theologian in Cincinnati, teaches at Xavier University. He wrote a book with just about a perfect title for this concern. And he said, How Buddha Has Helped Me Be a Better Christian. That's the title of his book. Now, I know to people who've only lived inside the Christian pond, the Christian ocean, because it's big, it's real big, that at first sounds risky and dangerous. But here's, you know, what we call East and West. It's no accident that we've resorted to that somewhat strange language, you know, because it's a whole globe. Where does East and West begin and where does the other end? But I think it reflects what I'm going to call the two hemispheres of the brain. Not just Eastern Christianity, but Eastern religions. Reflect a way of processing reality that is in many ways, not always, but in many ways very different than the Western mind, which was formed by the Roman Empire and by Greek logic. Those are great gifts, and they offered us an awful lot. But for example, what Buddhism took the time to do, because they didn't waste centuries arguing about metaphysics, all right? They just compartmentalized the question of metaphysics. Is there a God? What's the shape of God? What's the name of God? They pleaded holy ignorance, that we don't know. Well, we had to know, we in the West. And we were convinced we did know. The Jews, the Christians, the Muslims, we know the name of God and the shape of God. But unfortunately, instead of making us loving, it too often made us argumentative. So the Eastern religions spent centuries, instead of arguing, observing. And what they observed was this, and this, how the mind processes reality and how the heart receives reality. And we are now, if you want to be, the beneficiaries of centuries of meticulous and honest and insightful self-observation, which we just got to be honest. The Buddhists did this, and offer it to us better than most Christians did. They developed a subtle vocabulary for describing what you just have to admit is true. You know, how your mind works, how it prefers the negative, how it prefers to divide the field of the moment and be dualistic. There's nothing to believe there. It's not a metaphysics. It's not a set of doctrines. Just practice it. Just practice it. And there's nothing to argue about. You will see that 9 times out of 10, damn it, it's true. That's the way my mind works. That's the way my heart works. And so it's, if the West and Western Christianity triumphed in metaphysics, although it also got mired in metaphysics by its arrogance about it, the East triumphed in epistemology. Epistemology is the science of knowing. How do you know what you know? And I was very blessed that when I was given a 4-year philosophy course, the first whole year was in great part devoted to epistemology. Nothing but theories of knowledge. How do you, Richard, know what you know? Huh? What allows you to come to these metaphysical conclusions? Little did I think. I was only 21 when I studied that. And it was sort of boring, to be honest, because I wanted to jump ahead into metaphysics. And I didn't want to waste time in theories of knowledge. But only really in the second half of life did I realize what a gift the Franciscans had given me by forcing me to be critical about how I pretend to know what I know. And then when I discovered Buddhism, I said, you know what? They're doing the same thing. And we call it Eastern religions. They are in no way, well, in almost all ways, not in competition with Christianity. They're in many ways absolutely complementary. And they can only make you, in most cases, a better Christian. Where you can keep your metaphysics, but now you're going to have a much more, or your doctrines, in other words, a much more insightful paradigm for interpreting those doctrines. I often said at the beginning of retreats, I hope you leave here with all of your doctrines totally intact. But I bet you're going to understand them in a very different way. And I think that's what growth and transformation means.